Hey, welcome to Champion Your Culture, the podcast, a weekly live show exploring the power of culture and leadership in business. I'm Ryan McCarty.
Hey, and I'm George Rogers, and we go live every week to learn from each other and hear from other experts about how to effectively champion our team members and ourselves.
Yeah, so every week you can discover new insights and methods to increase team engagement and also empowerment at work so that everyone can achieve their maximum potential.
So we want you to join us live every Wednesday on our social networks, and you subscribe and listen to Apple, Spotify, and or Google Podcasts. Welcome to Champion Your Culture, everybody, sponsored by Culture of Good.
Hey, what's going on, George? I'm so glad that we get to be on every single week with each other because I don't know anybody else in my life that I talk to more than you.
Well, outside of our family, right? Yeah, we're on the phone, and conversations are great, man. It's amazing, the time that we spent together over the course of the last few years, and then even more so this 2022. It's like a daily a dose of Ryan McCarty. And if anybody ever has the pleasure of getting a dose of Ryan McCarty, it's an addiction. You always want you around, and brotherhood is strong.
I don't know if it's an addiction. I think it's more like a contagion. It's like, and I'm glad to be contagious. I'm glad that, it's not just, we've got COVID, obviously, but I used to talk about, hey, if you really care about people, if you're a great leader, what you do and who you are and how you are in the world is a contagious thing. People want to be around that kind of energy and that excitement. And that's why I love being with you all the time. I would say that about George. If you ever get George on a stage at one of your events or in a training, or potentially hire him as a one-on-one executive leadership coach, listen, the excitement that is built around that is more than just a feeling. The excitement comes from knowing that there's strategy and there's plan and all of that. And that's why I love Culture of Good, and why, honestly, I obviously launched Culture of Good, but I'm still a part of it after 10 years because I've seen transformative experiences, not just in organizations and teams, but also in individuals. And that's why we love this Champion Your Culture, because we're speaking to all three layers of the organization, right? The whole ecosystem, like how everything runs as a whole, but also we have team dynamic, and you're a person, you're a human being. And regardless of what position or title that you have, every single one of us that jump on this podcast every week, and I know I feel it, I grow, and I feel like I'm developing my own not only acumen with culture and business, but also being able to be accountable to this idea of how important it is that we continue to keep our leadership of ourself, our team, and our organization at top notch. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So anyway, yep. I'm really happy to be on with you today, George.
No, it's a great opportunity for sure. I mean, you're a dynamic speaker that's well known, international speaker, I should say, author, all these great things. So it's great to be connected, man. There's always an uplifting inspiration and really some great things and insights whenever I'm with you. And I'm just challenged, man, to do good in this world. So I'm glad I get to do good with a good brother and a friend. So I'm excited about that. I do want to challenge and encourage everybody, if you're listening to us right now, wherever you're listening to us, to make sure that you rate or like plenty of the platform that you listen to. This podcast helps spread the word because we appreciate you joining us and giving us that time out of your day every Wednesday. If you're listening, later in the day or later in the week, we appreciate it still. Just rate, subscribe, and make sure you hit the notification bell to be notified every time we go live here on Champion Your Culture. So we do appreciate that.
Yeah, we always appreciate that. And honestly, if you get your podcast from Apple or Spotify or Google, those are the main ones that we're seeing a lot of our listeners on. You can listen to this anytime. So you can go live with us every single Wednesday. We are live, George. I'm talking live. I'm talking like if those shoes behind you fell and landed on you, I would have to drive to Nashville and save your life because you have so many shoes behind you. And by the way, if I inspire you to do good, if you have any size 10 back there, hook a brother up.
You know what?
Just kidding.
So funny story for everybody live. For those who can see the visual behind me, I have a few of these. I ain't gonna say how many. Each rack holds 45 pairs of shoes, top to bottom. And most of these shoes behind me, Ryan, I can count on one hand how many of them are actually my size. So when I buy shoes, because I just don't want to wear them, so I will buy them a size too small. I'll just be random here. Actually, because we're in the Christmas season, these are some of my favorite pair of shoes. These are Christmas.
Check those out.
Look in this. It's real soft. But
oh my god,
it is a size.
Awesome.
These are a size 10. You want some Christmas shoes, bro? Right here.
Oh my god, are you kidding? Don't give me those, man. I'll wear those every day, man.
Dude, it's so soft. I wish.
I'll tell you what, though. Hold on to those shoes for a second, man. I think I might have something out in my chat. Give me like 10 seconds. Keep talking to the crowd.
This is how live we are, ladies and gentlemen. We are here to give you an individual development plan, and we're talking about shoes because every shoe has a story behind us, and so that is important. While he's going to his
all right, man, I got it.
Oh, he did the sweater. All right, if you're gonna do that, I'm throwing on the hat. How about that?
You got a hat.
How about that?
Awesome, yo.
I'm throwing on the hat. The Christmas.
All right, we're gonna do the whole podcast this way.
Oh, sure.
Because I got bells, man.
Oh, that's just not fun.
I don't know if you can hear that or not.
I should go throw on my Christmas onesie.
Oh gosh, I haven't even hit the eggnog yet, man. Oh,
ladies and gentlemen, Ryan has left to go get him a glass. It is hot in this studio, so I won't be wearing that hat because I'll start sweating. Hey, I do want to talk as he's going to do his cup of eggnog. I think he went and grabbed him a little cup of eggnog. I'm drinking green tea, and he's about to bust open and crack open some eggnog.
Oh yeah,
but
absolutely.
A lot of people are watching this, Ryan. They're ready to dig into.
Oh, we have a podcast. I thought we were just talking as friends, man. Awesome.
I thought we were
we're gonna jump right in before I get too far into this eggnog. That would be a really great podcast if we just every time we get further in the IDP, we take a shot and see what kind of plan we have at the end of it, right? So. But I'm excited. Yeah. What were you saying before I interrupted with my
going into just kind of reminding our audience and our people out there really what an individual development plan is, right? It's really outlining goals within context of organizational objectives, right? We're here to really develop an action plan to really move ourselves. If you're doing this with the organization, the plan to move employees from where they are and where they will like to be, and then maybe sometimes really where they need to be, right? Sometimes where we are and where we like to be still isn't where we need to be. And so how do we get to where we are to where we like to be, but how do we really get to where we need to be? Individual development plan really helps you stay on pace and really helps create a purpose for what you're doing and why you're doing it, right? And so really want to dig into that today and really give some true value so individuals that are watching, they can really create an individual plan, and we'll throw out one. I believe we'll put one on our LinkedIn and all our social. If you're interested in receiving an email, you can email myself and we'll make sure you get it. Or you can go onto cultureofgood.com and connect with us and sign up there, and we'll email you. Just put in IDP plan and we'll send that to you. Or you can email me personally at george@cultureofgood.com. That's just george@cultureofgood.com. And so we got a lot of great things that I'm excited about. We got some training coming up, Ryan. We got some speaking engagements that we're going to be tag teaming. If you're looking for a keynote speaker for your event, Ryan and I in 2023 are traveling together. You get the 2-for-1 price. And we're going to talk all things leadership and culture and really give strategic plans while we're keynoting for people to walk away from that event to put some action in place back into their the world that they work in.
Yeah, and I think that's what we have to begin to ask ourselves right from the beginning of writing IDP. Are you ready to jump into this, George?
I am, man. I'm ready. Let's
All
go
right.
dig in.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we assume that you're on my team because you are, and we're meeting and we're saying, okay, we got 2023 coming up. And we're going to write this IDP, which is individual, it's development, and it's plan, right? So when we start, we are thankful for Simon Sinek and all of his brilliant ways of pontificating on culture and talking about starting with why, but honestly, we have to start with who. So the question I'm going to ask George a lot of times with somebody on my team is around values, like who are you, what makes you tick, what are you passionate about, really getting to know you as an individual. If it's going to be an individual development plan, this isn't a team development plan, this isn't an organization, this is you. So this is George. Who is George? And what would you say your top two values are right now?
I would say number one, creating a sense of belonging, right? Connecting to others. I want to create a sense of belonging for anybody that's within me, around me, on my team. The second value that I have really is character, right? I want to have good character. That kind of slices. There's a difference between integrity and character. I oftentimes kind of kiss those and merge those two together. So doing things, and that goes with treating people right? Having good character in everything that you do and say, let your word be your word, while creating a sense of belonging.
I love how you added some like behaviors with that. So when you think about belonging and character, when you think about those two values, where do you see them most in your life right now? Where would you say that you're able to live and honor those?
Yeah, I think everything starts at home, right? I mean, it should. You should be who you are, where you are at all times. And I think having that sense of belonging within my family is very important. I'm always a believer that my foundation is my foundation.
That's wonderful. One more question before we move on beyond who is, what's your art?
Ooh, my art. Explain that to me.
What is your highest creative expression?
Highest creative expression. I would say shoes.
Is it?
I would probably say my highest creative expression. Yeah, that's a good one, Ryan.
Something's about to be revealed to you. I bet everybody on the podcast knows what your highest it's your voice, man.
Yeah,
your art is your ability to talk. Oh, well, I mean, to me it is, but again, as a leader, I'm going to be working with you, and if I were coaching you, we would have a lot more time to work through this. But when we think about how do you create something from nothing, that's, to me, it's like what's fun for you in terms of creating things, shoes, which guess what you talk about when you go out to a keynote in my shoes. So there's connections, right? But in asking the question, what's your art, I immediately know more about you than I ever knew before. And I think what happened during the pandemic is we were able to see, we had a window into people's worlds. You look at my house right now, I've got the tree up, but you can see more about me, and I can see more about you because we had a video window into people's worlds. We were living on Zoom and all of that. And we found out that every single person on our team was an individual. That's why I love asking people, what's your art? So I think those that are on with us today, ask those questions like, what are your values and what's your art? Because that tells me who you are as a person, as an individual, not just as a team member. Everyone's like, don't call them employees, call them team members. We could also call them just a human being, just like an individual. And so individual development. And so when we think about an IDP, we're going to start with who we are, what are our values, what's our art. And then secondly, we're going to go into what is, or actually not what, I'm sorry, we go from who into why, right? So we started with who. Start with who, move on to why. Why are we writing this IDP? What is the point? What is the reasoning behind it in terms of potentially a new job or career? Could be moving over to a new department. It could be hiring additional team members, so your team is going to grow and expand. There's all kinds of whys to put down on an IDP. So what is the purpose of your IDP? Is it simply, well, I just want to develop these specific skills? That's awesome. But what is that leading to? So what is the objective of your IDP? So George, if you were to write an IDP based on your belonging and thinking about, again, these values, that's why I start with who. Think about belonging and character in your art, your creative expression, whatever that is. It doesn't have to be speaking. It can just, whatever your creative expression is. Thinking about that, why would you right now, I mean, let's make this as real as possible. Why would you be writing an IDP where you are in life right now? In that work?
I think for me, it all is about accountability, right? I want to be accountable to where I am at the end of every year and why I'm there, right? I want to be able to look back.
But what's your objective for this year? Like, let's set an like what's the why? What's the goal, right? Think about where you are in work and life. Like, what would be the goal of this year for you? Why would you write a night? Not just accountability, because that's that's a bake-in. Like, what would actually be on your IDP as far as an overarching goal for this year?
To write another book.
To write another book. Awesome. Right. So let's just make,
it's fulfilling for where I'm going, right? So the book I just finished the first rough draft of my first book. I want to make sure that I publish at least 2 books in 2023.
So publish 2 books in 2023 is your goal. Okay.
Yep.
When you think about that, what are and we go from who you are, and that's a person that values belonging and character. You're also a person that is expressive in terms of speaking, and you care about shoes. Let's just play with that a little bit, okay? let's just kind of stay in that realm. What are some learning objectives that you can grow in or develop in order to actually realize that ultimate goal? What are some learning objectives that will lead you in the direction of that specific goal? So when you said be accountable to something's not clear enough. That word something. And then you said a book. I want to write a book. That's clear, but you got even clearer. You said, well, I actually want to publish 2 books. I want to publish, not just write a book. You said write a book. Now it's getting deeper. You want to write and publish 2 books in 2023. Now, you just said that publicly.
Yeah.
So you've got the accountability of hundreds of people, if not thousands, listening right now. Yep. Hopefully millions one day. Please rate and subscribe and tell your friends about Champion Your Culture, because we need more people to hold George accountable to 2 books published. Okay, so think about that for a moment. You want to publish 2 books in next year. What are some learning objectives? Think about 3 areas: knowledge, skill, and ability. When you think about knowledge, skill, and ability, that's going to be under your learning objectives. Some objectives within your IDP are going to be around knowledge development, right? So I need to know more about this. I need to grow in my understanding or acumen around this area. So if you're listening to us on this podcast, you might say, well, I'm not going to publish 2 books, but I am going to be promoted soon. We coach with people all the time, George, are about to be promoted. Every company we've met with promotes people to failure because they promote them without actually developing them. So promotion without development is a recipe for disaster, right? Because you get into a position that you're not prepared for and you can't sustain and actually fulfill. So when you think about your IDP, you're listening to George. He has a why. He knows who he is. Who are you? What are your top 2 values? Why are they your values? Really ask the why behind your values. Don't just say, well, I value family. Why? What does it give you? What kind of sense does it give you? For George, I'm sure you'd say a sense of belonging. You said that earlier. Belonging starts at home with the family. So that belonging is that sense. So we start with who we are, our expression, our values, and then we move into why. What is the main goal? George said it was 2 books published this coming year. What is your goal? Write that down. Write it down. Like right now on this podcast, as you're listening, take a moment, grab a pencil and write it down. Don't grab a pen, grab a pencil. Always use a pencil with an eraser when you're writing a plan, because nothing is ink in a plan. Everything is going to be changing as we go. So let's talk about learning objectives. We're talking about knowledge, we're talking about skill, and we're talking about ability, right? When we think about those 3 areas or objectives, George, what would you say? Let's just go through those. Skill, let's think about, or let's start with knowledge, skill, and ability. What knowledge do you need to have in order to accomplish 2 published books in this next year?
I mean, obviously, the first thing that I need to have knowledge on is what the book is going to be about.
Yeah.
Right. I got to know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Otherwise, I could just record a conversation of me just rambling a bunch of stuff and go there. And so having the knowledge on what we're going to be talking about. And so let's just say we're going to talk about leadership. And how it affects the workplace. So having that knowledge, understanding the data.
The data, okay.
The data, what that is telling us, and how what does that evolve, right? And so is the data saying employees are connected to their leader and they're doing this, right? Employees that are not connected to their leader are doing another thing. So having that knowledge to be able to give true insight on the power of leadership within the workplace.
So that's the book. What about book publishing? What knowledge around book publishing do you need?
The knowledge so this is really an interesting question, because I'm going through this process right now, right? So my knowledge is understanding what platform is best needed for the type of book I'm writing, right? Certain publishers are great at certain types of books, whether it's a religious book, is this, for, a business? Is this for HR? What field? But and somewhat of a demographic, right? In the terms of industry, what is this and who does this relate to? Those are things that I need to have knowledge about, so that when I sign that deal, obviously we're talking monetary things that come in. We're talking being able to have a true backing as far as marketing and how that can scale, so that it is in the right hands of the right people, and it's just not another book on the shelf or online somewhere collecting dust.
Great.
I will reach 20 people.
Exactly. What about skill? When you think about skill for this, to write 2 published books in 2023, what skill do you need?
Patience. Is that a skill?
No.
I
mean, what a skill could be actually book writing, right?
Obviously,
if you're writing books, you need to grow in that skill.
Yeah, I think writing, obviously, and proper writing, right? Not just writing, but proper English grammar.
Is there any other skills?
Let me see. It's almost, is poetry a skill? I know it's not necessarily, this is not going to be a book of rhythm, When I think poetry, I don't always think you and I have been listening to some old school hip hop over the last week, and I think of like old school E40. He never really rhymed, but the poetry of his story was so compelling that it really made sense, and sometimes it seemed offbeat. I want that same rhythm of a book to where it seems a little bit off, but I'm so into what it is because I want to know where it's going. I would call that a soft skill.
Yep. All right. Let's move on to then ability. What abilities need to be developed? And able, right? So when we think about ability, we're not just talking about skill. So get out of that. What about how much time you can, are you able to even do this? What needs to be developed in your life so that you're able to accomplish 2 books? Give me real quick because we're running out of time and I need to get to this next part.
Ability will be need the ability to be disciplined in my priority management, right?
So priority management. Okay. All right.
And I'll just stick to that. I think that's the ace in the hole for me is priority management.
Okay.
It has to be a priority.
Kind of prioritizing it. All right. Great. Now, all right. We did who, we did why, right? That was the main goal. The 2 books published. We did what? Those are learning objectives, knowledge, skill, ability. Now we end with how. So this is really simple. We're just simply going to ask, what is the development activity, right? And this is just simply writing the IDP. If you want accountability, if you want, like you take the IDP to your leader, to your manager, and you build in accountability tactics within it. But what is a development activity? Let me give you a few options here, right? So maybe one of them would be like hiring a coach or asking someone to mentor you, right? Mentorship's different because you're not paying for mentorship, but coaching is going to actually be professional and systematic, and there's a process involved and there's objectives and goals that you realize. But it could be hiring a coach. It could, I saw something here where you said poetry, George. And one of the hows is like, why not join a poetry class, a local poetry class, or, you know, hang out at a local music studio where there's hip hop, like while you're writing your book so that you have that energy around you, you know, like what are some of the development activities? Is it training? Like what comes to mind for you when you think about the goals that you have in terms of your knowledge, skill, and your ability? Remember, knowledge was about like, what is the book about? The data, like understanding platforms, and then how to monetize and market. In terms of those things, what would be some activities that you would lean into?
I think, you know, finding other artists or writers and, you know, surrounding myself with them. I think in this first book, I think I did more writing after I had meetings or activities with other authors that have already been through that journey. You know, some other activities is finding a place that, as you said, you know, whether it's a portrait or somewhere, finding a location that I thrive the most. I discovered I wrote the most and felt the most accomplished in my previous writings when I was by water. And so put myself in those activities and practicing, you know, step-by-step actions in those moments to prepare me and mentally prepare me for that writing session.
What about skill? What about in terms of developing your skill itself? I mean, you'll get some of that being around other authors and writers. What about, have you thought about taking a course?
I was going to say, I think when it comes to any type of skill, it's practice, right? Practice doesn't make perfect. It just makes progress. And some of it starts before I wrote a book. I got in the habit of just writing small blogs, right? Just get in the habit. I think blogging more, so the effect of me wanting to write another book equals me writing more blogs in 2023 as well. It's a side effect
because you can turn those blogs into a book.
Yeah.
So how many blogs? So how many writers or authors do you want to meet in quarter one? What's your goal for that?
Each quarter, 4. I want to connect with one person a month is my goal, and really
One per month.
Spend some time with
so
them.
one in each quarter. What about location?
Virtual depends on where they are, and the travel.
Travel. Yeah. I mean, finding a location where you write.
Oh, I got this passion for waterfalls, so I'm excited about touring state parks here in Tennessee.
Oh, that's cool,
as well as
man.
Georgia, Kentucky. I mean, I got a lot of state parks, about 15 that I've already kind of pinpointed that I want to travel to in 2023.
And by what quarter do you want to take a course? Or actually, not maybe you didn't say take a course. That was my idea. So when do you want to start writing blogs, and how many?
For 2023, I'll do a minimum. My action step is to do a minimum of 2 blogs a month.
2 blogs a month.
Yep.
All right. And so what's really cool about this is you've timed it. So as we end here today, those that are on with us, you've heard George. Now, what we have the ability to do is, as I've been writing down, we have some steps that George can begin to take the first quarter, second quarter, third, and fourth. There's actionable plans to be held accountable to. And I would simply say, George, how would you like me to keep you accountable to finding one author in the first quarter, to finding waterfalls in the first quarter, and also writing 2 blogs? What accountability can we set up?
Maybe an introduction of an author that you may know, or introduction to.
So that's how that's how I'll know you've done it. Is either you or I have introduced. Okay, cool. Waterfalls.
Waterfalls. It would just be checking on. Have I traveled? I'm gonna try.
How about you send me a picture of a waterfall?
I'll do that.
Is that cool? I mean, don't just download it off Google.
I'll do a live.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, live video. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I'll do that. And then in regards to, what was the last one?
The 2 blogs a month.
The blogs. Yeah, I'll have them published. I'll make sure they're published on my website. And then I have 2 partners. Maybe we can throw one on Culture of Good. See if we can get our web development team over there to publish it. And then I'll try to connect with another company to see if I can publish my blog on their company as well. So I'll try to do three websites is my goal.
Awesome. So as you're saying all of that, make sure you're writing that down and you take it into a process, right? Who, go ahead and list it out. Top 2 values. Don't go for 6, just get 2. Top 2 values.
Simple.
What's your art? What's your creative expression? Right. So who, why, what's the main goal? Publish 2 books. What are the learning objectives? There's knowledge, there's skill, and there's also ability. And then we move into what is a development activity, right? So for your development activity, yourself, a lot of what you said was around like doing and action. So you're developing the book through writing the blogs. You're developing yourself and your values by finding locations that you can have your full creative expression, you feel alive. And you're meeting up with authors. So you're developing your skill and your ability and your knowledge just by being around other experts and thought leaders, which is why we have this podcast for every single one of you every single week, because we want you to jump on, grow your knowledge, skill, and ability in the same way that you can through our training at Culture of Good, our coaching, and our full development. We can actually, if your company is saying, you know what, we're not really sure where to start, we don't have a leadership development program, we're looking for 1 to 2 companies this next year to go into with our full resource of team to go in and really help to develop an entire leadership development program within the company. Ultimately, you, George, are able to follow this IDP. And as someone that's on the team, we would meet together then either monthly or every other month when we have our one-on-ones. We pull the IDP out and we look at it. We don't want to write this down and then hide it away and hope it happens within the next 12 months, because there's going to be steps, and you're going to start to fill that in, and you'll be able to see there's more to this than just saying it. You're going to have to actually take some action steps. So then with your IDP, what's my 1 to 2 steps that I can start taking today? And then go to action.
Yeah, that's true. That's so good. Hey, I do want to shout out somebody. So I threw out on purpose. I've been throwing out some words this whole podcast.
Nice.
And they're negative words. I thought maybe you were going to trigger to say something, because I know that we talk about what we're going to talk about. We have an outline, but a lot of these questions, in all honesty, Ryan didn't prepare me for. This is not some scripted, knowledge. We both know these things, but I was not prepared to be the student in the class. But this is authentic. But a lot of things that we hear, Ryan, we hear words like try. And I want to shout out Miss Frenchie that's watching on Facebook Live right now. She says, stop saying try and say I will. And I think when it comes to, and I just did it again, right? When it comes to creating individual development plans, we hear those words a lot, man. We hear those silent negative killers that we don't think are negative, but it's something that has been embedded into why we don't accomplish what we try to accomplish, because we use those words too many times. And so I want to challenge everyone that's watching today, as you are getting into your own IDP, make sure you're speaking life over yourself. Make sure you're speaking life over the things that you really want to accomplish. Speak those things into existence. Be confident about those things and believe that provision and everything that you need to come to pass for the steps and the development of your actions will come through. Be confident about that. Even if there's a sense of failure, that you try this over and over again and nothing has ever changed, then do what I've done. Surround yourself with people who's going to keep you accountable. Surround yourself with people that can help you with your IDP. And I'm talking about somebody that's not going to be your friend, that's going to be stern with you to say, hey, you told me to keep you accountable and you're here. How do we get there? What's the next step? And what can I do? Because then there's responsibility, right? Ryan now has responsibility for my IDP because he's put himself in a position to hold me accountable. And so in doing so, he's got to be accountable to me and ask me, where's the waterfall? I haven't seen a waterfall.
I was going to start. I was going to say that with you, man. I'm going to start singing to you every time we get on. Go start chasing waterfalls.
Right.
And
we need that, man. We have to have
really
that. We have to have that. Well, so be encouraged, people. Speak life as you do your IDP. Do it with somebody. Have somebody with you that you look up to, a leader.
Fun with it, yeah.
Hire a coach.
Hire a coach. Get a hold of George and I immediately. It's not a lot. We can spread it out over 12 months payments. We can make it happen for you. I'm telling you, if you're listening and you say, I can't afford training, I can't afford coaching, we'll figure it out. Please reach out to us. We're real excited about it. I want to end with one of the greatest business minds that wrote an IDP, Yoda. He said, there is no try, only do. So that's that's what you got to do. There's no try, only do. You've got this. I love that, George. Have that. Get rid of those silent killers, those words that we say, and those limiting beliefs. And remember, the only thing that limits you is your belief that what limits you limits you. It's all up here. You can, you will. And we are excited about hearing the stories of how that comes about. If we could help in any way, reach out to us at Ryan at Culture of Good or George at Culture of Good. Listen anytime where you find your podcast, reach out to us. We love you. We know what it's like to be in the middle of all of this at Christmas and the holidays and Hanukkah. Yeah. My family was celebrating, and I think we celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, and Kwanzaa in my family. So we've got, when somebody says, don't say happy holidays, I'm like, what are you talking about? There's all kinds of them and they're happy. So let's be happy. So happy holidays to everyone. You know, we certainly understand that this can be a trying, difficult time and a hard season. So beyond the fun and the eggnog and the ugly Christmas sweaters and the bells that jingle, don't forget that you have a couple friends here in George and I that are an ear to listen, and we're here for you. So thanks for jumping on this week, and we're hoping that you'll be back with us next week. We're going to do some recapping over the entire last 28 episodes, George. 28.
Wow. It's been a long ride. It's been an eventful. We had some great guests in the past. Great insight from all our guests in 2022. I'm excited about the plans of 2023 and where this is going to take us. And as always, man, I'm excited to deal with you and all our lovely people that are watching, listening to us. You know, we hope that you have a blessed holiday. And if you need someone, we're here.
We're here.
We're not, in the words of Deion Sanders, we're not hard to find.
Nah. We're not hard to find. Thank you all for jumping on with us. We'll see you back next week on Champion Your Culture.